In part one of my interview with Michelle Masse, she explains how the influx of women into higher education has not led to the expected gender equality.
But the demographics of academia as a workplace means we have a kind of pyramid structure where on the one hand there's been a great celebration of how many female PhDs we have in English and the foreign languages. And once upon a time, people actually thought that that meant, that's wonderful. Soon we'll have female full professors, 60% female PhDs, it'll be 10, 15 years, we'll have equity for female full professors. That hasn't changed over the last 30 years. So the pipeline theory of once the degrees are there, the rank will follow, hasn't been true in the least. What we end up with is a pyramid in which the brunt of contingent labor, non-tenure track, whether full-time or part-time, is female. So the people who are teaching Introduction to Spanish 1 at 9 o'clock at night, the people who are doing the remedial composition at 7 o'clock in the morning, the people who are often working at $1,500 or $2,000 a section without health insurance are women. Saying there's a demographics of the workforce that mean there are more women at certain ranks, therefore necessarily they will be asked. But we have whole fields within languages and literature such as introductory writing, remedial courses, language instruction that are seen, as we all know, as less prestigious classes in which we use more contingent labor than professorial faculty to teach it. They're seen as soft, less prestigious, hence feminized, and they're populated by women. Men who work in those fields are therefore feminized, which has nothing to do with their manliness or whether or not men serve. And it's dangerous, not just within our fields though, but all fields, I'd say, of language, literature, and other humanities are now feminized within the university itself. We're somehow seen as a kind of genteel veneer for what you need to be an educated person, but not that the values articulated through our fields are integral to what our students will embrace in their lives. We, of course, hope that as teachers. It's part of the reason we continue to serve and to teach the way we do. But that we are feminized. We are the soft prelude, the cocktail party chit-chat with which to provide our potential lawyers, doctors, business people. And that way we are all feminized, men and women. Oh, I don't think I'd call that a provocative question even, because I can assent to it so very readily. Our own language of soft and hard feels. There's a gendering of those terms without a doubt. I find on university committees, I'm forever not explaining feminization even, but explaining literature, explaining the humanities as a huge field of endeavor, from the idea that somehow, as I said, that we just read comic books, or even we read novels, big fat novels, but is there a discipline to that? With all those famous gendered words, is there rigor to that? Do we have penetrating insights? Or do we just sit around saying, whoa, isn't that fun? I read big novels all the time. There's no labor. If I write an article on Middlemarch, that's no work or particular thinking. It's what I believe and what I feel. There's no community of interpretation. There are no standards that guide literature or the humanities. So increasingly, at the same time schools are calling for greater attention to our customers, that we are called to say, let's care for them. Caring is a feminized job. Well, there's a very simple answer to that, Mark. I feel terribly about it, and it makes me very angry. Part of it, it's a complicated system. It's a silent economy that service often feeds into. It's a question both of what is imposed upon women or men who work in primarily feminized fields, but also what they themselves embrace. These good analytic minds, these wonderful political activists, are able to simultaneously say, I know I am giving my labor for free to support an institution whose structures I don't believe in, but I continue to do it because it reinforces my personal values, my commitment to community, my commitment to equity and social justice. And so we're caught in a kind of catch-22. My most dour prognostication, I do look back to nurses and to secretaries. Again, taking a long view, in the 17th or 18th century, being a secretary was a very prestigious position, which my students always chortle at when I tell it to them. That, something like a very smart young man would be made the secretary of a well-known author, an important legislator, and that you would be a kind of an assistant. It would serve almost as an apprenticeship. The idea that gradually this has become feminized. It always startles them enormously. Nursing was also once a male profession, in part because of issues of propriety. What kind of woman is going to be looking at naked people all the time? I could see over time, at my very worst, the replication of K through 12 nursing secretarial work, where we have a system of administration that's primarily male and masculinized. We have enormously well-funded federal initiatives for science grants, nanotechnology, interdisciplinarity that's marked by molecular biology, not cultural studies, and a female workforce, primarily female and feminized workforce. So that just as we have male principals of elementary schools and female teachers, eventually we'll have female, and I don't even know if they'll be called professors anymore. They might just be called loving teachers, and we'll have, as we do at our school, we'll have professional masculinized, primarily male managerial workforce.